Hellhounds, up in Harlem. Dear Scary Stories NYC. Yo, Mr. Big Feet, I got a scary story for you that actually happened here in NYC. It took place a few years ago when I was doing some crime that it's too soon for me to admit to, if you know what I mean. The statues are still imitationing and all that, so I'm gonna have to be vague about parts of this. I can tell you that I learned that werewolfism or werewolfitis or whatever you want to call it can be caught like you catch a cold sometimes. And it can be given to you on purpose too. That's the bad news. The good news is that the kind I caught is like a cold in other ways too, because it goes away by the next morning. At least it did with me. So I'm going to tell you about how that happened that I caught the werewolf virus. Then I'm going to tell you this rumor I heard a few months back that turns out to be true. There is a way to bring the virus back once you have it inside you. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to become a werewolf again, right, there's a thing you can do to make that real. I can't tell you how to catch it in the first place, but I can tell you how to bring it back once you caught it. And I'll get to that later. First, let me catch you up by filling you in on previous episodes of GBD, Gangbanger Dogman in Color, brought to you by YouTube, home of the best and brightest. Ready? Let's hit it. Okay, listen up, fam. Let me tell you about the messed up stuff that went down after I got infected with this werewolf virus. It all started when my crew, who I'm gonna call the Harlem Hounds, had a beef with those punk-ass wolves from the Bronx. By the way, these are not our real gang names, you can get that right. Anyway, we were always at each other's throats, but this time was the time them MFers took it to a whole nother level. Or as my 8-year-old nephew says, they fucked around and found out. One night we were chilling in our turf, smoking some blunts and talking smack, when those wolves showed up out of nowhere. They had this shady dude with them, wearing a cloak, and looking all sketchy. Turns out he was packing some serious werewolf virus. Before we knew it, they unleashed that virus on us, like some screwed up biological warfare. At first I laughed when he threw something on the ground and a puff of smoke went up in the air. I thought he was a stage magician, and he was gonna disappear in the smoke. So I ran forward into it to stop him, you know? I stupidly breathed it in, not knowing I was breathing in an experimental werewolf virus. It hit me like a ton of bricks, man. My body started twitching. My skin was crawling, and I felt this intense burning sensation all over. I thought I was gonna die right then and there. But nah, that wasn't the end of it. Oh no, that was just the beginning. I could sense the moon as it rose higher in the sky. I mean, I could feel it behind me even when I wasn't looking at it. Then this uncontrollable rage started taking over me. My bones cracked. My muscles bulged, and I transformed into this freaking werewolf, standing tall on 2 legs. But like 2 monster legs, you get me? I couldn't believe what was happening. I was a monster and there was no turning back. My crew was freaking out because the same thing was happening to all of them too. They didn't know what to do. Some ran for their lives, while others tried to fight each other. They tore through each other like they were Swiss cheese. It was so stupid. Brother fighting brother. I realized they were all becoming werewolves, losing their minds, and reverting to being as stupid as dumb animals. They had no control over their own selves no more. They just fought each other while the wolves stood back and laughed at us. But not me. I could still think the same as ever. But now I had the power, man. I had the strength. I shimmied up a pipe and onto a roof. And then I was in the bird seat, looking down on the entire bunch of them. I saw the wolves walking away, and I decided to follow in my new werewolf form. It was not hard at all to keep up with them. I jumped from roof to roof, and when they crossed the street, I just ran across on a phone line on all 4s. That wire wasn't really strong enough to hold my weight, so I just went faster. It was like a scene from a superhero movie, but not a recent one. It was like a scene from a good superhero movie, and I was the superhero. As the moonlight and light from apartment windows were the only things brightening up the dark alleyway below it all, up on that roof I could feel the transformation completing itself. My bones cracked and twisted. My muscles bulged, and fur sprouted from every inch of my body. I became a tall, scary werewolf, but unlike the mindless beast they expected me to be, I retained my human consciousness. With a superhero leap, I stepped off the roof, gaining momentum, as I fell 5 or 6 stories straight down. I landed hard on 3 of them mothers, and 2 of the 3 were out like a light already. That just left 5 more guys that I had to take down. Sounds like fun. Well, they were no match for me. Using my enhanced senses and agility, I dodged those big giant crackheads like it was nothing. I could hear how surprised they were as they realized they had underestimated me. I fought with precision, aiming to incapacitate rather than to kill, like Kato from the Green Hornet. I gotta admit though, I had a few tricks up my sleeve I never saw in any old Bruce Lee movie. That's 'cause Bruce Lee didn't have claws, but I did. I tore through the flesh of these mothers, rendering them helpless. The sound of bones breaking echoed through the night as I disarmed them faster than they could pull a trigger. The wolves, once the predators, were now the prey. My prey. But in the middle of all this, the hooded man, the guy who had given them the werewolf virus, managed to slip away. He was cunning, I'll give him that. As much as I wanted to tear him apart, I knew I had to let him escape. He needed to spread the word of my power, to let the city know that there was a new alpha in town. The wolves had been duped by that hooded bloodclot into thinking the werewolf poison he was selling would turn us all into dumb beasts. But I kept my mind, and the virus only turned me into their worst nightmare. If they spread this out over the city, a certain amount of other people would react to it like me. Like, there would be a majority of people turning into hungry monsters, but then there would probably be like 50 or 100 of us that would have all the strength of the freaks, but we'd sit on top of our power, riding it, not letting it ride us. They hadn't counted on that. So I say let them do it. I wouldn't mind, right? It wouldn't make my world any better or worse anyhow. So after the fight, my adrenaline subsided and I reverted back to my human form. The scars of battle were all over my body, but I was still standing, and none of the guys I just fought could say that. But I had accomplished what I set out to do. The wolves had been defeated, and the city would tremble at the thought of crossing me. Well, at least people would be scared of the werewolf. There wouldn't hardly be nobody that would know it was me. They would just know that one werewolf stood up for all the people, and they would remember that part. And so, as I stood there, bloodied and victorious, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. The streets of Harlem would never be the same again. The legend of the fierce yet merciful werewolf who took down the wolves, but allowed them all to live, was going to be repeated from Brooklyn to the Bronx, a warning to anyone stupid enough to challenge me. I was ready to fight everyone that night, but I woke up in the morning myself again, in human form both inside and out. That was the first morning I ever woke up feeling like I didn't want to do no more crimes. I still don't know why I changed my mind about everything, but I woke up that morning starting to think about other ways to start bringing some money in. Legal ways, you hear me? And that's when I started to do stuff on Amazon that I learned in this YouTube tutorial. Actually, it don't matter how I make a living these days. My point is that I woke up not wanting to be one of the bad guys anymore. And I started trying to cut most of the old guys from the past, who were still alive, out of my future. But I mean, I didn't move, and I still keep my ear to the ground, if you know what I'm saying. And nobody that survived that big werewolf rumble that night changed back to a werewolf again later on. And not the next night, not on the full moon, nothing. So that was what I was trying to say before when I was like, Werewolfism is like getting a cold. I didn't mean that it makes you sneeze. I meant that it comes and it goes. At least the kind that they gave us. I never really expected it to come back, but a couple guys from that night were freaked out about it, calling me on the phone every day until the full moon. After a full month had passed, everyone got it that it was a one-time attack that they hit us with, and we figured that was the end of that. The pandemic hit, and then we all had other things to worry about besides werewolves. Let me tell you about this crazy thing that happened to my boy Rico just a few months back. So me and some of the boys was chilling on 125 and getting a shake, right? Just shooting the breeze and talking about old times. Out of nowhere, Rico starts feeling all weird and jittery. He's sweating buckets, and his eyes go all bloodshot. We're all looking at him like, what the hell, man? Next thing we know, Rico's body starts twitching and convulsing. It's like he's losing control, you know? And then boom, he transforms right in front of our eyes. This dude turns into a tall, menacing werewolf, standing on two legs, like some freaky monster out of a horror flick. We all started freaking out, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Rico's howling and growling, tearing up everything in his path. It's like he's possessed by something ancient, unleashed from someplace down underneath hell. But here's the crazy part, my dude. We started putting the pieces together, trying to figure out what triggered this transformation. And you won't believe it. Rico had just finished eating some hot wings from Kennedy Fried Chicken on 125th Street, just north of Marcus Garvey Park. And get this, he washed it down with a chocolate shake from the Shake Shack across the street, on the north side of 125. Turns out that combo was like a damn switch that turned on the werewolf virus in full force. It was like a curse, man. One minute Rico's just a regular dude, and the next, he's a ferocious beast, tearing through the streets of Harlem. We couldn't believe our eyes, bro. It was like something out of a nightmare. And from that day on, we knew we had to be careful about what we ate and drank. 'Cause you never know when that damn werewolf virus gonna come back and haunt us, turning us into creatures of the night. So I don't know what is the combination of ingredients that makes this happen, but I saw it with my own eyes. And it made me miss the powerful feeling I had that time I got transformed into the monster. Just running across the rooftops like I was Batman or Spider-Man. Well, that made it worth it. And there was a lot more to that night which I kept thinking about. Maybe I needed to move to 125. Maybe I needed to eat hot wings and a chocolate shake every night, you know? Maybe the city needed me to step up and be their hero, right? I mean, I have read a lot of comic books, you can probably tell. So this past Halloween, last year in 2022, I decided to do it. I was gonna eat hot wings, cross the street and grab me a shake, and then that would be my Halloween costume. I mean, why not, right? So I did it, but things didn't go down the way I was thinking that they would. Okay, first I went over to Kennedy Fried Chicken, and I got me some hot wings. Them joints was fire, man. I could feel the heat building up inside me as I chowed down. After I finished the wings, I crossed the street to Shake Shack and I grabbed a chocolate shake. That thing was thick and creamy just the way I like it. As I slipped it down, I could feel a strange sensation coursing through my veins. It was like my body was changing, transforming into something wild. Suddenly my bones started cracking, and my skin felt like it was on fire. I looked down and saw my hands turning into massive paws, covered in dark fur. My clothes ripped apart as my body grew taller and more muscular. Before I knew it, I was standing there, a towering bipedal werewolf. And when I say bipedal, I'm trying to say that I stood up like a man, right? I wasn't down on the ground like a dog, because I was a bipedal werewolf, you see what I'm saying? The people on that street were freaking out, man. Some ran away screaming, while others stood frozen in fear. I could see the terror in their eyes. I was like something out of a horror movie. The kids was gathering closer though, because I think they thought it was a live ad for a new werewolf movie or something. But I was excited. This was exactly what I was hoping would happen. I embraced my new form and I let out a howl that echoed through the streets of Harlem. All them people scattered, leaving me alone in the darkness. It was a powerful feeling, knowing that I had become the thing that haunted their nightmares. Even on Halloween, I was still scarier than scary. I was once again the werewolf. As I prowled the streets, I could hear whispers and gasps from all the people around me. Some of them knew something was up, something dangerous. But most of the people, they just thought I had the best Halloween costume in Harlem that year. Little did they know I was just getting started. Halloween night 2022 was about to become a night they would never forget. The trouble is, I don't remember any of it. My plans to transform more often were wrecked, because my second time wasn't anything at all like my first. I didn't keep control when I did it fueled by fried chicken and a chocolate shake. I just transformed, and then I went wild. I don't think I hurt anyone as far as I know. But then I wouldn't really know, would I? I woke up on a rooftop in Queens, so it must have been a good night, that's all I can say. I mean, I started off in Harlem, and that's in a different borough surrounded by wide rivers. Did I ride the subway while I was a werewolf? I mean, maybe I did, I just can't tell you. So I don't think that if I moved to 125 and ate hot wings with chocolate shakes every day, that I would turn into a superhero. I just think I'd get fat, and I'd forget everything that happened. I can already do that just by drinking 3 40s and smoking an 1/8 ounce. So I don't need the werewolf thing for that, you hear me? Anyway, that's the story covered better than Eyewitness News could do it. Whether you're in a good or a bad mood, you gotta say thanks to Ron Barracuda. Ron has been a channel member of ours for 3 straight years. Thanks, Ron, we really appreciate it, and we're very grateful to you for helping us stay on the internet. Ron is 3 months shy of our current record holder, Dave Rabbit, who has been a channel member of ours for 39 months straight. Thanks a lot, Dave. You are the greatest. By the way, I don't think that Dave Rabbit is actually a rabbit, just as I'm pretty sure that Ron is not a barracuda, but I am definitely a Bigfoot, and Big Feet can't survive without contributions from nice people like these 2 guys that we're thanking right here. Both of them get cool perks in return for supporting the channel, and here to tell you all about it is our international TV spokesmongrel, Henry Lee Dogman. Hank? Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
come back for more scary stories.